Hi, my name's Craig, and today I want to show you how easy it is to make your own beer at home. I've seen a lot of videos on YouTube of people making their own beer at home, and there's lots of different ways of doing it. There's complicated ways and there's simple ways of doing it. Some of the more complicated ways, I don't think I'd have the patience to do them. Now, in this part of the video, I decided to shoot it from this angle and have to lean over a little bit so I could actually get into the shot. But it was very uncomfortable, and this is not the way I would normally make a video. But since we're brewing up some beer on the stove, easy home brewing, or home brewing the easy way, we have to do it this way. Of course, I got my can of Cooper's. Unfortunately, I don't have any dry malt extract or any grains or any hops or any high malt glucose. You do need one thing. You can't brew beer without a spatula like this. You need one of these. It's absolutely necessary. Oh, and I had to put a baffle over the window because it's sunny out, and it wasn't sunny when I filmed that original video. So let's talk. Hey guys, you know, it actually took me quite a long time to memorize those words as best I could from that old video that was actually shot almost exactly 10 years ago. That video was shot February 24th, 2007. So we're talking like a month, almost just over a month from now will be exactly the exact 10 years since that video was shot. I had been on YouTube a year before that, and that's why 2016 was my 10th anniversary year for being on. But yeah, here it is. And so let's go back a little bit and just talk a little bit about that. Some of you have heard bits and pieces of the story, and I have a bit of a store-bought beer that I've just poured. We will get to a home brew in just a few minutes. I have a nice clean glass, and I want to talk about this because it's amazing. Okay, so a neighbor actually asked me, you know, how you make your own beer, and I said, well, this was probably about around fall 2006, because we were still standing outside drinking a beer, and it's still quite warm out. And I guess it wasn't until the middle of the winter when I actually got around to shooting that video that, you know, most of you have seen. If you haven't seen it, well, good. You know, it was the first homebrew video I ever did. And it was basically me just saying, hey, I've been brewing beer this way for so many years. Why are people, you know, doing all these complex things and grinding stuff up and adding things and boiling stuff? And I didn't know. You know, like YouTube was like brand new. It was like, I just did it that way because to save money. Beer's expensive where I live, and if I could throw together a kit and kilo like that, for me, it was better than this, and it's cheaper. So, you know, I did that video series, and it gained a lot of popularity, I guess, at first, and I tried to do other things on YouTube and play the drums and singing and cooking and stuff. Some of those things have caught on, but the main thing that people wanted was the home brewing. Like, when's the next brewing video? When's the next brewing video? So that's how this all got started. It wasn't me. I would have gone and done I would have been long gone from YouTube by now and been doing other things, who knows what. But it was the viewers, it was the people that watched that said, no, we want more of those brewing videos. Please make more. So I did. They were simple, they were crude, but it was the way I was doing things. And I got by for a lot of years doing it that way, so I didn't see any reason why no one else could. They were shot with this camera. This is the actual camera that those videos were shot with. This is a Panasonic. Shoot, I don't think there's a model number on here anywhere, not that I can see. But it's a 3-chip camera. And of course it takes tapes, you know, these little tape. No, the battery's dead, of course, so it's not going to eject. But it's a mini DV camera. It was a 3-chip, 3CCD cam. And it was probably close to $1,800 when I bought it. but I needed a camera at that time, and I needed a good one. So that's what we've got. It still works, but the little Firewire jack is busted, so you can't transfer the video onto the computer anymore. So it's basically useless. So let's talk about the hat, because I feel kind of naked here. The hat. Now, the hat was never worn with the sweatshirt. So we'll talk about the sweatshirt too, and what the heck this is all about. The sweatshirt was my dad's. He passed away in November 2005. So it wasn't that long, just over a year, that I shot that first brewing video. And I remember I had a white t-shirt on, and I think the white t-shirt had like a stain or something down here, and I didn't feel like finding another shirt, so I just threw this oversized sweatshirt on, thinking that'll just cover up that stain, and it's comfortable and everything is good. Just there you have it. Listen, I was never good at dressing myself in high school. I was never, akin to styles or things like that. I just threw it on because it was comfortable, and it was my dad's, and that's that. Now the hat, which probably needs to be washed, but I'm afraid to wash it because it's falling apart. I found the hat out on the front grass. Some of you have already heard this story. It was literally just right out in the front lawn, and it was just laying there. So I picked it up and I brought it home, and I asked my wife if she knew whose it was, and she said, no, I don't know whose it is. So I just kept it. And, if anybody asked for it, I would have given it back, but no one did, so I just kept it. And I started losing hair in the front. I've got a balding pattern, just like a lot of middle-aged men do. And so I started wearing the hat, but not only did it cover up that aspect of it, and I didn't have to wash and style my hair every time I did a video. I just throw on the hat. But it also helps to block the lights too, because I do have to use lighting when I do videos to make them look better. So it's kind of a dual purpose thing. It's become sort of I don't know what you would call it, some sort of a representation of CraigTube, this whole thing that I've managed to keep doing for all these years. And so, but never that I know of, never was the hat ever worn in conjunction with this oversized bum sweatshirt, which people mention this all the time. And actually, back in the day, I was actually teased and mocked about this. Obviously, I mean, look at me, it's oversized, it's way too big, it's stretched, all the elasticities are gone out of these sleeves and whatnot. But I wore it, and I was teased and mocked, and I simply said, listen, it was my dad's. He's gone now. This is one of the few things I still have of his. Okay, so lay off, right? My wife took some laundry over to the neighbor's house to do it over there, because I think something was wrong with our washer. And she took a bunch of my laundry over, and I never saw this shirt again up until recently. It was lost for years. And I asked her, I said, where's that shirt? Where's that sweatshirt? She says, I don't know. Did you put it? And I looked everywhere, in drawers, underneath things. I mean, I actually thought it had been thrown out. And I was pretty upset about that, because not only is it with my dad's, but it's comfy, it's warm, it's not tight, I can move around in it. And it was also the very first video that I made on YouTube, home brewing wise, wearing this big old oversized sweatshirt. Well, my wife recently found it, like literally 2 weeks ago from the shooting of this video. She found this hanging in my closet. Yeah, serves me right for putting it away. So this is what's brought this all together for me. I've got the shirt, I've got the hat, 10 years on within a month of this date. That was when that video was shot. I was scared, I was nervous, I didn't know if I felt comfortable about putting myself out there on YouTube. I'm a behind the camera kind of person. I've been doing video for almost all my life. And to get in front of the camera for me was not what I had planned. But YouTube came along and I thought, you know what, it's time. It's time I crawl out from under my rock and get in front of the camera and do something. And that's what I decided to do. So, you know, the rest is kind of, you know, a lot of you who've been along for the ride for all these years, some of you haven't. There were some rocky roads. You know, as time went on, I became more confident. I got more subscribers and more subscribers and more subscribers. A couple of haters along the way, of course. You can't not have haters. I mean, it's just, that's what happens. And somewhere along the way, I realized that this is what I'm supposed to do. I feel comfortable. I feel confident. I know I'm not perfect. I know I do stupid things sometimes, or I'm not always right about what I'm saying, and I am more than happy to correct myself and make it right. My brewing methods back then were crude. Not that you can't brew beer that way. I mean, you certainly can. If you live in a trailer somewhere or a small house, you know, you can take what you just saw there and make beer, and it works. It's probably still better than most of the commercial beers that you buy in the store. Speaking of which, I'm just resetting my palate so that when I pour my next home brew, it's going to taste excellent. Oh yeah, babe. Let's get this flashlight. See what we've got. Oh, there's the color. Not perfectly clear, but all right. So this beer has a bit of a story behind it, and it's inspired me to do a new series here on my channel. So let's talk about that. But first, let's give it a whirl. Cheers. Expect a reaction because it's good beer. Oh, I think I did that growl, I guess, if you will, whatever it is, during that first series that, you know, we've talked about at the beginning of this video. That came from my, at the time, father-in-law, who has passed away, but he used to come in from, you know, the backyard mowing the grass or doing something outside in the summertime, and he'd come in, he'd crack open a store-bought, some Molson Canadian or whatever, and he'd just drink like the whole thing. The whole thing, just chugged the whole, he's a big, burly English man, you know, big guy. And he'd just drink the whole thing, and when he was finished, he'd go, whoa! So that's where I got it from. This beer. I went to the brew store a couple weeks ago. It was over the holidays, and I tried to, you know, get my normal things that I used to brew beer with, quick brews, and they were out of dry malt extract. And so for me, that's kind of a setback, you know, because I use that to make these simple beers. So I came home with my little can of Cooper's IPA, and I went down into my little box of grains down there, and I found a bag of two-row. But this was a bag that was sent in to me from somebody about a year ago. I hadn't used it yet. But not only was there two-row in there, but there was some other grains. You could see there was some chocolate malt, maybe a little bit of some crystal or dark roasted malts or something like that. A little bit peppered through this two-row. So I thought, I'll just mash this. I took 2 kilograms of that, got a mash going on here. Now, this is something that I'm going to make further videos about, because this beer has inspired me to brew that way more often. I mean, I've done it before. Any of you guys out there who are doing simple beers, or even if you're doing all grain and you still want that fresh grain flavor in your beer and you don't have a lot of time, a mini mash is an awesome way to get that done. From either end of the scale. If you're a simple brewer and you want to get into more complex things, mini mash. If you're a all grain brewer and you don't have a lot of time and you still want to pump out some beers to fill your keg, mini mash. It's such a great middle ground. So I just came home and I got the grains out and I ground them up and I measured them and, you know, I put them in this pot here. I've been using this pot since that very same pot you saw in that original video. Get myself where is it here? A nice big, you know, mesh bag. And this is basically a brew in the bag kind of mini mash style of doing it. And I did that and I, you know, mashed some grains. I put them in a separate pot of hot water, sparged them and stuff like that. Ended up with wort, which I mixed with the Cooper's can, which is already pre-hopped. And I ended up with this, which isn't, guys, my son just came down right before I shot this video. So I'm not kidding. He came down in his robe and he grabbed a beer and he took a sip and he said, "Dad, this is good. This is good." I mean, he's and he's nice, not been drinking beer for that long. And he notices, he knows how good this beer is. Not that there's anything wrong with doing it, you know, the simple way, because you still get pretty good results. And he's been, you know, we've been happy with it. But when you go the extra mile and you take the extra time, if you have it, to brew this kind of beer with the grains, and even if you add some extra hops to it, which you could do, I didn't do with this one. This has inspired me to do a series on this. Seriously. I want to go through all the details. I've done it before, but I really want to go through all of the measurements, everything, like, you know, how I did it. And it'll be slightly different than the way you do it because you have slightly different equipment and stuff like that than I do. But I'm going to do it in such a way that you will understand how to do it with your equipment and how to measure it and how to, you know, divvy out stuff and make sure it's all proportionate and make it work. It's easy. And once you do it a couple of times, first time you do it, you're going to have some frustrations and whatnot, but that's how you learn. Once you do it 2 or 3 times, I don't think you'll ever regret doing it. It's a great way to get an all-grain taste. I'm glad you're watching. Of course, there's going to be haters. People are going to thumb down the video. I understand that. That's totally accepted and totally normal. Doesn't bother me a bit. It's just more interaction for the video. So it makes the video happen on YouTube when people interact with it however they do. So thanks a lot. 10 years minus a month since I shot that first video. I believe we need to celebrate. Here we are. Okay, guys. So I got links down below for other things you might want to know, other channels I have going on that are active, and I'm doing my best to keep those updated as well. I'm a busy person. And it's all thanks to you for accepting me into this format of social media and making me want to do more videos. That's what it's all about. Cheers to that. And the 10th anniversary t-shirts are no longer available. As I mentioned, they'd be, you know, we kept them alive for an extra week. I hope if you wanted one, you got one. We have new ideas. And we'll see what happens there. But in the meantime, I think I've filled your brains with enough stuff for this week, this homebrew weekend, I guess if you want to call it. I wanted to do this sooner, but planning this whole skit and all this stuff, it took time, and I just underestimated how long it was going to take to put this together. But you guys, I want you to be safe, drink good beer, brew good beer, 2017. And be safe and listen, guys, thank you so much. All right. Cheers to you and yours. 17.